That's smart money. That's not cheap. Okay? I go to a football game. I'm like I don't have any money on me right now. So I go to the football game. I practice discipline by not having any money with me. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend any money there. I'm not going to buy the NFL. I'm not going to buy the Wisconsin hat. Like, I'm not going to get sucked into the emotional thing, and I'm going to stay disciplined to this. It's not that I'm cheap. I'm trying to get rich. And that's what we want to do, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to take this challenge this week, but we're going to invite you to a 90-day challenge where I'm going to support you over 90 days, just like I did on Undercover Billionaire, where I went from zero, and I didn't even deal with money on that show, to building a $5.5 million business in 90 days. I'm going to support you guys in doing the same thing. We're going to build assets and equity, not cash. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. But I want to get this discipline in first. If you go back and watch that show, you're going to see that I never spent any money the entire 90 days. I never spent my own money.
They didn't show that part.
No, they don't.
They didn't show the $100 you got. You went and put it.
I still got the $100. We got it in a frame here in the office. Okay, so I'm never going to spend that $100. I don't need to. Why? I need to make contact with others. How do I go from zero to $5.5 million in 90 days? Don't worry about money. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to do that because you have to pay bills. Okay, and you already got things in play. So what we're going to do over a 90-day. Probably tomorrow and the next day, we'll show you this beautiful plan that we have for you and your family to lay out 90 days, and in addition to the 90 days, 9 months to support you to build extreme wealth in the shortest period of time possible. Look, could you imagine 9 months changing your entire financial life forever? Sometimes you just need somebody to help you along the way, folks, whether it's going to the gym, keeping your relationship together, raising your kids. Like, look how many mothers out there, man, change all their habits for 9 months. You know? See, you can do anything for a short period of time, but you got to know what the goal is. The goal is not, and this is what I want you to walk away with today. We got to change your think. We talked about that yesterday. You got to make a commitment to wealth, and I'm going to bring Sharone Lecter in, okay? You got to make a commitment to wealth. Not a standard of living. You got to practice extreme discipline if you want this life, okay? Money will not make you happier, but I'm going to tell you it's going to give you some choices. And I've been both broke and I've been extremely wealthy, okay? I have every month I get hit with $1 million from real estate, passive income from real estate. Like, it just comes out of nowhere every single month, and it goes up over time. And I'm telling you this because I want you to know what's possible for you. Remember, 32 years old, I had my first $1 million. Hard work, knocking, cold calling on doors, accumulating money, terrified, holding on to it. Over the last 25 years, I've done some unbelievable things, and there is a code to creating wealth. There's exact strategies. It's called $1 million math, and if you don't want to be a millionaire and you want to be a billionaire, then there's $1 billion math. But first it starts with a think. Then you and your wife or you and your husband need to make a commitment to wealth. Not spending. This is what Kevin O'Leary was talking about yesterday. And then you need to practice extreme discipline and make a big commitment to investing money, because last thing I'll say, you can never get rich working. Nobody's ever done it in the history of the world. There's not one single individual, including Paul Allen. Paul Allen was the second man at Microsoft. People are like, he got rich because of his salary. No, Paul Allen got rich because of his investments in his options and his stock options in Microsoft, okay? You have to make investments to create wealth, okay? All right, I want to bring Sharone Lecter in, internationally recognized, a financial literacy expert, just to get her ideas about this. She's a keynote speaker around the world on the money topic. She's a business mentor to millions of people, a New York Times best-selling author, 35-year career as a licensed CPA. Sharone and I have not talked about this topic today, and I want to know her thoughts on it. She's the co-author of international bestseller Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and 14 other books in the Rich Dad series. She's also a great friend of my family and the 10X Network. She comes to our conferences. We're going to have her, right? Don't we have her, Sharone?
I'm here.
Sharone, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Sharone.
Hey.
How are you, Grant?
Good,
Hello,
good.
everybody.
Hey, Sharon, so good to have you here. Always good to be with you. And thank you for being part of this, the money challenge, the 10X money challenge.
My honor. Happy to be here, Grant. Thank you.
So Sharon, I know I buzzed through this really fast. Do you have any takeaways from it, or something I missed, or something that was really important from what I was sharing?
Well, I sing the exact same tune you are, Grant. I talk about it's not what you do for your paycheck, it's what you do with it that determines your future, and always concentrating on investing assets. My tagline, assets are sexy. And when you want to, don't live above your means, expand your means by investing in assets so that you can afford the life you want.
So how do you feel? Do you think it's too extreme? Because I imagine some people, we'll do some direct questions for you VIP guys at the end here, but do you think it's too extreme to think of this concept of not changing your quality of living and only putting all the emphasis on the quality of investments?
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I grew up with parents that I was embarrassed by. We lived in a little tiny house between my mom's beauty shop, my dad's used car lot. We owned rental properties that I had to go scrub out between tenants. We never increased our living standard, but my dad was building asset after asset after asset to the point where some orange groves he owned, he sold to SeaWorld. And so I saw it from the inside out, how that builds wealth. And how concentrating, and you use the word discipline, capital letters, every one of you, discipline. But it's also proximity. Who are you associating with? All right. When you're in Grant Cardone's group, in his world, you can't help but be intoxicated about understanding the power of discipline and money and staying true to yourself. When you get a raise, you get a bonus, don't go blow it and spend it, invest it. Every single step of the way is all about your choice. So your money, you either control your money or your money controls you.
Yeah, exactly. And then other people can control you because you're behind all the time. So talk to me about the difference between discipline to invest and being cheap. Because I know a lot of people that just save money and they're cheap. And then I know other people that use money to create wealth.
Well, I love my father-in-law, but I'm going to throw him under the bus. He, both my dad and my father-in-law about the same age, Depression kids, but he has every penny he ever met. He's 95 years old and he's not really enjoyed life, but he's had every penny he's ever made because he saved it. But the problem is in today's environment, saving is losing. Because the cost of living is higher than what you're getting paid by the bank. And so I'm actually helping him reorganize now. He did invest in a bunch of stocks and he's done very well for himself. But he has his entire life, he built a nest egg, but it was so much smaller than it could have been because he was disciplined to be cheap.
Yeah.
Not disciplined to be expansive, and you expand your investments.
Yeah, was he scared, Sharon? Did he just have fear because of the Great Depression? He grew out of that time?
He never got out of it. He's still there. I mean, years ago, 30 years ago, he would, drive to Sears to pay his bill so he didn't have to put a stamp on the envelope. I mean, it's just that mentality.
Yeah.
And, my parents, same thing. They worked for every penny they had. But if my father wanted something, he'd find an asset to invest, buy, or build so that the income from that asset would let him get what he wanted.
Right. So I have this theory that people should spend only from their passive income and invest only their earned income. What can you? And I've heard you talk about this.
Well, my definition of financial freedom, and I know you're going to agree with it, you are financially free when the income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses. And it doesn't have to be billions or millions of dollars. You are financially free when the income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses, which means your assets are the ones working for you. They're generating the income. So instead of exchanging time for money, which is what happens when you're on commission or what happens when you're an employee, and there's only so many hours in this day, only so many days in the week, you can't get rich working for money. So instead of exchanging time for money, let's invest our time in buying, building, and creating income producing assets. Because when you do that, those assets become your employees, and they don't have personalities. They don't have to worry about them. They're there working for you every single day, generating income.
So you're saying the individual that is spending money from earned income should put their attention on only spending from their investments? Like that would be the discipline, the calculation, the formula?
That would be the goal. The goal would be to focus. If you've got a job and you're covering your expenses, then focus on how you can create other assets that generate income for you. Because when you are looking, so people say, I need to get a second job. Don't do it. Or I need to ask for a raise. Well, maybe you need a raise, but that's not how you look to expand your family's finances. It's through assets.
Yeah. So what assets do you let me, before I go to the assets, because I know everybody's going to know what investment, I think it's really, really important to understand what Sharon's saying here is that, and what I heard you say the first time was your first target would be your income from investments would handle your expenses. And maybe that's when people change their standard of living. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right, Grant. If we want something, when we bought our ranch 15 years ago, we bought it from the investment income that we had been accumulating over the years, not from money that was our salary, quote unquote, which we haven't had for many years. We've been financially free since I was 38, following the same principle I grew up with my father, understanding that if you want something, you find something, instead of buying that Porsche, buy an apartment building that the cash flow from the apartment building pays for the Porsche. Because the Porsche gets paid off or you sell it, but you still have the income and you still have the apartment building that's going to continue generating that cash flow.
Right. So if a person's living, if their basic living is $4,000 a month, if you could earn 10%, you would need $40,000 worth of investments. I think that'd be right. No, that wouldn't be enough. You need $400,000 worth of investments, really, to pay your expenses through the year, for $48,000 of expenses a year. So,
that's right.
But does that blow people out of the water, Sharon? Does that I'll never save $400,000? Like, how do I correct that piece?
Well, you can start small. So, for instance, when I first met Kiyosaki, he lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. He had a 2-bedroom condo. He had 2 small apartment complexes. His passive income for the year was $100,000, but his living expenses were $36,000. So he was financially free on $100,000 a year. And so people look at you, Grant, and maybe even at me, and they see they feel like it's not even attainable for them, but it is. If you pay attention to what your living expenses are and be prudent, make the investment in yourself by not living above your means until you can. And take that extra income, as you described and diagrammed on the whiteboard, every extra penny you throw into investments to the point that it happens sooner than you think, because you continue. And it's not, you talk about $40,000 or $400,000, but that $400,000 may be an apartment building that's giving you cash flow.
Right.
All right. And that cash flow, so you're getting tax benefits